So, population biology. A population is a group of organisms in the same place at the same time. And we include all organisms, the old, the young, those actively reproducing, those past reproductive capacity, those who are too young to reproduce. The ultimate size of a population is determined solely by resources. So we need to define the term resource. It is anything needed by an organism to survive. Anything that is needed by an organism to survive. Food is kind of an obvious one, isn't it? Most people would think of that as a limiting resource. However, there are other things like water, air, shelter, room to roam, the maximum size of a population is determined to be the carrying capacity. Carrying capacity. The mathematical abbreviation that's always used is a capital K. Would you all like a human example? All right, let's see. We got 4, 8. We got 18 students in the room right now today. The room has 30 seats available for student use. And by that I mean we've got 6 rows of 5. Pretty straightforward, right? If you don't get to class on time, you're not going to have to worry about getting a seat, are you? If you're one of those people that doesn't like to have anybody around you, chances are pretty good you could get a seat like that. If you want a seat on the front row, you can get one. If you want one on the back row, chances are good you can get one. There's more than enough. Would you agree? We got a dozen empties. But have you ever noticed that when you're registering for your classes next term, which if you haven't done, be sure you meet with your advisor and do so, by the way, there's a cap on the enrollment. That is basically an artificial limit imposed by space. If I wanted to max the enrollment for this class out, I could get 30 students in here with no problem. It might not be as ideal of a learning environment, because you all know I sometimes like to wander the room, right? There would be more bags sitting in the aisle. Y'all are out to trip me as it is, but this way we would almost certainly be seeing me fall and break something. But again, even if you showed up right on time or 5 minutes late, there's going to be a seat for you. You may have to sit right here front and center in the one nobody wants because you're just the last one in, but that's still a seat. In that case, our population would be at carrying capacity. Right now, we have a surplus of space. But I'm such a popular professor that so many students want to take my in-person class that we just have to double the enrollment, right? But SCC being what it is, we can't double the space. So I'm going to put a carrying capacity of 60 in here. How is that going to work?
There won't be enough seats.
There won't be enough seats. We can pull these two desks out, right? Let somebody sit on that one back there. Somebody could stand at the lectern. We could set a couple of chairs out here. I can put somebody there by the door. Somebody gets to perch on the stool. Somebody even takes my seat. But we are still going to be, as the old tickets used to say for the concerts, SRO, standing room only. And I won't have any problems with some of you coming in a minute or two late then, will I? Because you show up any later than, say, 10 minutes till 2, you're probably not going to be seated for the entire class. I'm not going to be wandering the room, am I? Those of you that think you can just sit on the back row and cruise the web like you do, and that I won't notice it, which I do. I won't notice it then. It's going to be a lot harder to hear me talk, isn't it? Do you think you're going to be able to ask me as many questions as you do? It's going to not be fun, is it? Because we are over the carrying capacity. Guess what? I'm going to double it again. Now we have a limit of 120. Can we physically fit 120 bodies in this room? Not in any way, shape, form, or fashion that's going to allow learning to take place. What we are going to get then is another ecological principle called competition. We are going to have fist fights in the halls. We're going to have people spilling out onto the lawn, battling it out. Obviously, I'm just kind of putting this in humorous terms, but you get the point, don't you? There's only so many seats to go around, and if you're not willing and able to fight, you may very well not get one. I want you to write this down in your notes in ink. Get a tattoo out of this weekend so you never forget it. No, don't do that. I'm gonna say that someday, and somebody's gonna get one. I know.
You should pay him $100 for doing it.
Huh?
You should give him $10 for saying, like,
No.
oh, you did it.
I can't stand tattoos, but I don't wanna tell anybody to get one or not get one. Don't make me get one, I won't say anything about you getting one. Carrying capacity is finite. Carrying capacity is finite. There is only so much room, there are only so many resources to go around. Somebody is not getting a seat. If we go to an enrollment of 120, by definition, the carrying capacity is 60. 60 of them, half our population is not going to make it. Reagan, you had a question?
Yeah, what do you think the cap of like the world's population could be before it's kind of
Oh,
like?
we'll get there.
Okay.
Again, you all are jumping way ahead. Remember what I said at the beginning of this whole affair? I said humans have a couple of wild cards, don't we? And we have a worldwide communications net. We have a worldwide distribution net. Resources are located in different places than where they could be most used. Resources are under control of factions that don't use them the most efficiently. There's a lot of different things going on. Like in the last month, I'm paying $1 more a gallon per gas. I think that's fair to state, right? But you guys here in Kentucky, man, you're getting held over a barrel, literally. I don't pay $4 a gallon. Let's put it that way. Y'all wanna know what I paid for gas last night? $3.61. All I gotta do is drive south of the border and I get 38 cents a gallon less.
California though, that's the
Hey,
different rate.
we're not talking about California, we're talking about Tennessee, where the roads are so bad that when you cross the state line, you can tell by the amount of noise it's making. Now, I look forward to coming north, and suddenly, oh, it's quiet, I can hear my radio. I can tell when I'm getting close to home. But anyway, you see, that right there is a huge difference, isn't it? Is that state line a natural border or is it an artificial border? It's artificial. I joke about governments and I joke about states, even though we're not in a state but a commonwealth. But the simple fact of the matter is, there are different laws on either side of that border, aren't there? There are different tax schemes on either side of that border. Did you know Tennessee doesn't have a state income tax? But when I do my grocery shopping, let me tell you, I don't do it south of the border. Because I don't want to pay 9.75% sales tax on food. So I stopped by K. Rogers in Whitley City on the way home.
Wait, how far do you live?
49 miles door to door.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you normally pay for gas?
About 30 or 40 cents less than what it is up here. And I only bring it up because it's such an extreme difference. I mean, I'll freely admit I don't understand gas. 5, 10 cents, yeah, I can see that. 15 to 20, you're getting a little kind of but I can still understand that. But I've been teaching here now, this is 4.5 years, and I've filled up my tank in Kentucky less times than that. It's just not feasible. GasBuddy.com. It is a crowdsourced website where when you fill up, you literally just what you paid, and since it's more or less real time getting updated, you're actually able to find the cheapest fuel prices. Most people aren't observant, they just drive it till they're on fumes, pull in the closest place and pay whatever you're gonna pay. Now let me get off of these rabbit trails, where were we?
Carrying capacity is finite.
Carrying capacity, it's finite, there's a limit. Humans have the option of using technology. But I was going on with the gas prices, I actually had it meant to do that, meant to actually say something. Did you ever wonder why gas prices have gone up if the United States is a net exporter of oil? Did you realize that? We're actually exporting oil. So why is the Persian Gulf War causing our prices to go up? Why do we import?
Because of oil.
Wait, who, what? Somebody said something.
Because of the oil in the world.
But why should we care? If we're exporting oil, why do we need to import oil?
Because they're not processing it here.
Huh?
They're not processing or refining it here as much.
No, we are a net exporter. We are actually sending more oil out of the country than we are bringing in the
I
country.
know, but it has to be refined. Is that what
Bingo.
you're saying?
Close. The refineries that we have are set up to basically use a lower grade of oil, and most of the oil that comes out of the Persian Gulf is actually that lower grade. What we get out of Texas is actually a higher grade of oil that our refineries can use. So it's not just location of resources, it's also distribution of resources. See where I'm going with that? That's the whole reason World War II started, at least in the Pacific. Did you know that? China and Japan were at war for almost 5 years before the attack of Pearl Harbor. Did y'all know that? Do you know who was fueling Japan's war machine? This might surprise you.
Us.
The United States. We were exporting oil and finally cut off the tap, and that's when they bombed Pearl Harbor. And that's one of the reasons we won the war, because we essentially shut off their conquered oil supply. They conquered the Dutch East Indies to get access to oil, and our submarine force did such a good job sinking their tankers. They basically had the biggest, most fearsome battleship in the world, and they sent it on a one-way suicide mission because they didn't have enough gas to get back. See what I mean about distribution of resources? It's not just having the resource, it's where you have it and is it usable. And that holds true for organisms besides humans. Animals have an advantage. Animals can move. Plants have an advantage. They can make their own food. All that movement by animals takes more energy, doesn't it? Plants can't move if the water dries up. There's a cost and a trade-off for everything, but it all comes down to resources. Carrying capacity is finite. Resources come in two flavors: renewable and non-renewable. Is food a renewable resource? Yes. You harvest this year's crop, you eat it, you plant next year's, and you hope to harvest again, right? See what I mean? It's a renewable resource. What is the other type? Non-renewable. One and done. You use it once, it's gone, and you don't get it back.
A firewood. A firewood.
Firewood? Firewood is
No.
a renewable resource.
I know, like a firework.
Fireworks?
Yeah. Because you can explode it. You can use
Once it explodes, you can always make more gunpowder. Best example I can give you of a non-renewable would be fossil fuels, coal and oil. Or let's say petroleum, because so much under that. The key here is something called the recharge rate. The recharge rate. How fast can a renewable resource be available for use again? Crops, depending on the crop and the location, once a year, right? So they got a 1-year recharge rate. If you are growing winter wheat and spring wheat, then you might get 2 crops a year, so every 6 months. Somewhere in the tropics, you can grow certain crops year-round and essentially have a net recharge rate of 0. And here is the real kicker. Even non-renewable resources have a recharge rate. We call them non-renewable because the recharge rate is so low or so slow that it will effectively never be refreshed. When will we run out of petroleum? If you can answer that, you've not only got yourself a Nobel Prize, but you probably push out Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates as the world's richest individual, because if you put your money in the market, you will make a killing. I've heard anything from 2070 to 2100 to 2150. But I have yet to see anything that says over a century at current rate of usage and exploration.
So what we're going to use next, do you know? Or are we just going to use...
What are we going to use next? Welcome to the problem Nazi Germany faced at the Second World War. One of the reasons we won the war against them was because we bombed their oil fields and their oil refineries and their transportation infrastructure so well that they essentially had to make synthetic oil out of coal. And as you might imagine, it was not a very efficient process. Look up the Battle of the Bulge. Not right now. Since you're interested, nobody else seemed interested. The rest of y'all are wondering, why does he know all this stuff? Because I collect information like a dog collects fleas. I just absorb random bits of information because I'm interested in lots and lots of things. The world's a pretty cool place. But coal, we don't have to worry. We've got at least 2 or 3 centuries of coal left. Put in some conservation efforts and some things. So I don't think we're overly worried about that.
Oh, we're not worried about our Grand Churchill movie.
No.
No?
What happens when you run out of a non-renewable resource? When 2 things happens. Number 1, you find an alternative. Number 2, you die. Say what you want to, but muscle power is still available. I'm not going to be walking 49 miles every day, that's for sure. But for the vast, vast, vast majority of human history, do you know what was the number 1 source of power?
Coal. Muscle.
Who said muscles? Good job.
Horses. They used horses.
Not necessarily our muscles, but beasts of burden. You ever heard that phrase? Children are very useful for that.
So once we do run out of oil and we try to do like other methods, like we have solar.
We will get into that, but that's a can of worms that we don't have time to talk about because we are out of time, so that's it.